Hi, it's Kim from the Shamrock's Quilt Studio. Today we're working on our Barn Star Sampler project again. And I'm going to swap it up because I did not like the block we finished last week. That was this one. So tune in just a moment and we'll see what I didn't like about it and how I'm going to fix it. We'll be right back. And welcome back to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Hi, thanks for coming back. Today we're talking about a little problem that I had with our project and how we're going to fix it. Now last week in our video we worked to put together the friendship block, and that's this one right here. And as you recall, we took this from the book Barn Star Sampler and we swapped up the colors so it would coordinate and match with the blocks we already have. And putting it together, it's a cute block. But comparing it to the ones we already have, and let's look at those real quick. The Tulip Star block, the Northern Star block, and the Farmer's Star block, they just don't look similar. This one looks like the odd man out. And there's a couple of reasons for that and why I don't particularly care for it. So if you will indulge me, I'll tell you what those are. The first concern I have about this, and these were the colors that I picked, so I have no one to complain to but me. The first problem I have is that there's too much dark going on here in the center of the block, and as you go out, everything gets lighter. So it appears from a distance to be a very small block, as opposed to a block that takes the whole 16 inches. The other thing I did not like about it is that it's very dark here, but it has no green fabric in it at all. And that bothered me a little bit. At first I thought, okay, that's not really a big deal because some of the other blocks don't have some of the fabrics in it. And you've got a limited number in this particular block about how you can swap up fabrics. In other words, you couldn't make half of this one color and half the other color. So you had to compromise, right? So I looked at it and I pulled in some other folks and they looked at it to kind of see what we thought we could do. So our solution to this problem was to go back and add in that green fabric. And this is what we came up with. Instead of having a block where it was all very dark, and this is essentially the same color without the little bit of pattern, what we did is we swapped out that center navy block for a center green block. And I think this breaks up the darkness a bit. It still doesn't solve our problem with all the light fabrics being on the outside, but it was the easiest way to remedy part of the problem with this block and also still make it cohesive with everything else. So I have two of these completed, and then I have the one that was done like this that I'll have to take apart and swap out that center block. And I have one more to do from scratch. So I've got a little bit of homework on the Barn Star block, Friendship Star this week that I need to work on to kind of catch us back up. But those things happen when you are making alterations to a quilt pattern and you're making changes to colors and fabrics, that you may get to going on it and find you don't like it. And it's much easier to fix that problem now than to get all 4 blocks finished like this and decide you don't like it, or even worse, get the whole quilt top together and then decide you don't like it. So we're going to take a little pause and fix that problem before we move on. And also, because it's not a whole lot of work I still have left for the week, I have a little bit of time to kind of sit down and put all these blocks on the floor, because that's really the only place you can see them all out together in place, and decide if we need the sashing, how big the borders are going to be, and all of that. So when we come back next week, I will have some decisions about sashing, arrangement of blocks, and borders, and how we're going to move forward. We do still, as I said before, have plenty of fabric, everything except the navy solid, and if we need more of that, there should not be a reason why we can't get more. It is a name brand fabric, and I have the name and the SKU number, so we should be able to go back and pick up some more, even if we have to wait for a store to get in. So that's where we are with this. We really have moved along very quickly in the small number of weeks that we've done this. Had this been the only project I was working on, we'd be further along. But I think I stopped yesterday and counted that I have 4 active projects that I'm either piecing, stitching, or in design phase. And then I have, I think, 3 tops that I've put together that still need to be quilted. So I've got a lot going on here. And then the other things that we need to do with regular life and responsibilities and those things kind of cut into it a little bit. Wouldn't we all like to spend all of our time sewing? Sure we would. But that's just not really very practical most of the time. So I thank you for joining me today. If you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe if you have not already. We enjoy seeing you here. I am enjoying this process of putting this quilt together, except when this happens and I have to tear it all apart and do some rework. But it's small and we'll get it done, and we'll be happy as we move forward with this. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week at the Shamrock Quilt Studio.